Hey everyone, it's Kathy and welcome back here on my YouTube channel and back in my craft room. So glad that you're here today. We are going to be kind of going rogue today. Y'all know I do that real often. I know the style of card that I'm doing, the fold, the layout, but at that point that's where it ends, because I know I want to use this stamp set and the Love Cats because I love these little kitties. I think they're so precious. So I know that we're going to use those. I know that I want my color palette to be white and black and red. So I have some scraps of real red. I have a whole piece of basic white and a whole sheet of our basic black. So I think I'm going to do what will be our card base, and let me show you the card that we're going to be working with. This is one that I made, and it's sort of a prototype, so to speak, and I used the Queen Bee Stampin' dies for this, and I thought it turned out really cute. This is almost like a double, it's like a card in a card, and I love that. So when you fold this back like that, you have this other little card inside that folds up like this, and I thought this card was just simply adorable. It gives you a lot of space to decorate. When it folds together, it's a beautiful layered card. There's nothing about this card I don't love. So, and it gives you plenty of places to write. You can also put a piece of white cardstock up here if you wanted to write more of a note. You could always put a piece on the back if you needed more space. So it's ample room for your message. And let me show you another one that I did using the oh goodness, what was the name of that one? Share a Milkshake. That was the name of it. The Share a Milkshake. And isn't this adorable? I made this beautiful little milkshake with a straw in it. Life is sweeter. And there's an ice cream cone with you. Be my Valentine. Now, this is actually going to be my husband's Valentine's card. So when I was making this, I was thinking of him because he absolutely loves strawberry ice cream. And in fact, he just told me yesterday that he really wanted some strawberry ice cream. And I kind of snickered under my breath because I knew I had this cute little card waiting on him. And this one's calorie free, so he will appreciate that. Alright, getting started, let's go ahead and do our cuts and our fold. And it's a very simple layout. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with, the black. I think I want my card base to be black. So we are going to go ahead and cut this, and if we decide we need to change this up, we can always do that. I'm going to lay my stamp sets over here, get everything out of my way so I have ample room. So here is our Stampin' Up! Trimmer. I love this trimmer. I'm going to cut this on the 8.5 inch side, so the short edge to the top, and I'm going to line it up at 4 1/4, which is directly half of this sheet of cardstock. So let's just go ahead and slice that. And then we're going to turn it and we're going to score it at 5 1/2. So just like you would any other A2 size card that you cut like this. And you know, when you cut a card, when you cut a piece of cardstock like this, if you cut it long ways, then your fold goes up and down. Whereas if you cut it this way, then your card opens and shuts this way. I hope that makes sense. Alright, 5 1/2. Let's make sure I got it lined up again because I started talking. So 5 1/2, and we're going to give it a score. Then we're going to bring it over to, let me check my notes and make sure, 2 3/4, and we're going to cut 2 3/4 off of either end. It doesn't matter. So 2 3/4, so right before the 3, and let's just slice that off just like that. So save this piece because we're going to need that. We are going to need that piece for our topper in just a minute. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and fold that over. Get my bone folder out so I can give it a good crease. And the more you can crease this when you are folding it, the better your card's going to lay, because remember, we're going to have a lot of layers on here. So that piece is done. So now we need a mat for the inside. This is where I would normally go for a designer series paper, but in this case I am going to use just some basic white, and I have some that's already almost cut down to that size. So we're going to trim this out. And if you don't have this piece, just take your piece of white cardstock and cut it down to 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 long. Just like that. Now, because we're not using designer series paper, we need to kind of make a designer paper out of this. So I think what I want to do is, I think I want to stamp, let's see, trying to decide. Let me see if I can find a stamp that has some little hearts in it, because that's what I had in mind. So let's look at our country bouquet. I think we got little hearts in there. And we do. We have solid and outline, so we can do either or. So I think I'm going to grab those little hearts. And I want the solid ones. I think the solid ones will work better. Maybe I want both. Like I said, I had no plan other than what I had showed you as far as what I was planning on doing with this. So I am going to, I need to clean this little stamp off. It doesn't have any stickability to it. I can feel it's just not sticky enough. So I'm gonna just wipe it off a bit. And I'm going to grab 2 of my tiny blocks, and that's these little bitty ones, and these come in so handy when you're actually doing small pieces like this. So I'm going to pick those up, and the same here, I'm going to pick those up. And then I'm going to bring in my real red. And let's move these cards out of the way. The last thing I want to do is dump those over in ink. That would not be a good thing. And my memento, my tuxedo memento black. So now that I've got this, I'm going to start off with my solid hearts. And I want those to be red. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring a piece of grid paper and put it up underneath here, because I am going to be stamping a little bit on and off. And you always want to do that anytime you're doing a background, because you don't want it to look like the image is just to the edge of the paper. So let's go here, 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 there. Let's put one here. I'm going to turn my paper so that as I go, I'm turning it so they're not always at the same spot. See what I mean about being kind of on and off? Oops, that's okay. If you miss, don't worry about it, because we're going to go back and put some other dots in between, hearts, not dots, in between here. So if they don't come out completely perfect like you want them, no big deal. You're going to have an opportunity to fill in. And I'm going to do a couple across the top. And I think that will do all that I need to do with that. So now I'm going to take the outline one, and I'm going to ink that up in the black, and I'm going to come back in, and just ever here and there in between, we're going to hit, and see how pretty we're making our own Valentine background paper just by using some hearts. And while I'm stamping this, I wish each and every one of you an absolute beautiful Valentine's Day. Oh, you see what I did? I stamped in the wrong ink. That's okay. It didn't matter. I am going to come back. Let's clean that black off of there. I don't want to contaminate. I think I am going to come back with the black maybe right here. I think that's sufficient. Alright, so the next rule of thumb is to close up these ink pads so I don't put my hands in them. Now I'm going to hang tight to this roll red because we will be using that again. Alright, now that we've got this piece done, this is ready to go inside of our card. So that's the first portion of doing this card. So I'm going to go ahead and use some liquid glue, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this in. Something like that. And then I like to open this up so I can see exactly where I'm getting it. And then lay that down, centering up my side, top, and bottom. And then give it a good press. Alright, so that part of my card is done. So now let's go ahead and clean my stamps real quick. And of course y'all know I'm going to grab my favorite cleaner, which is my Stampin' Scrub. And I do need to wet it a little bit. It already has cleaner on it, so I'm just going to activate it with a little squirt of water. And then I can go ahead and clean the stamp. And you can dry it on one, clean it on one side and dry it on the other, which I think is super. And let's do the same thing. And this is nice and big. You see how big it is. I mean, here's my hand, and I have really large hands. And so it is ample to do your job. And these pieces come out. Y'all heard me say this before. The little loopy, it's almost like a Velcro. This comes out and allows you to take it to the sink and clean it. So you can just pop these out, take it to the sink, clean it with some dish detergent, lay it flat to dry, and once it gets dry you put it back in. I don't even wait for mine to completely dry. I usually just take a soft cloth and go over it, get the excess water out of it, and put it back together, and then it's ready to use. A simple little squirt of stamp cleaner on it then is all it needs, and it is ready to go. That little piece that we cut off of our card base, that is actually going to play a part of our front flap. So as a visual, let me show you what I'm talking about. On this card right here, this piece, this was Sweet Sorbet, and this piece right here that's up underneath here, everything's matted on top of, that is the piece that was cut off. So that is this piece right here that we cut off of our black. So now what we're going to do is we're going to layer this up, and you can already see how beautiful this is starting to come together. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm going to move my piece of scrap paper. We can always bring it back if we need it. So what we need now is we need our layering pieces. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a red layer and then a white layer, and then we are going to stamp our cat and put our cat on the front. So let's do this. Let's I'm going to need a piece of red that's 2 5/8 by 4 1/8. So let's pull out our little scraps, and I'm going to take one of these larger pieces, and I'm going to cut it. Let's make sure I have my width. So I need it to be 4 1/8. So 4 1/8 would be right there. So we're just going to take a smidgen off of it, just a tiny bit, And then we're going to turn it this way, and we're going to cut it at 2 5/8. So 2 5/8 is the large mark past the half. So if you count it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 eighths, and then 5/8. So you count in every other one, because this trimmer does break everything down to 1/16, which I love that. There are times that you need 1/16, believe it or not. All right, so that's gonna layer right inside here, and you're gonna see that the layers are very tight, very, very tight. And now we need that piece of white, and I'm gonna reach into my scrap bin. And I am going to grab out a piece of white, and this is going to be 2 1/2 by 4. So let's go ahead and do 2 1/2 this way. And 4 this way. Please excuse me, I still have the nagging cough. I'm still congested in my sinuses, which I'm sure you can detect that a little bit, but hopefully I'm on the mend. I still feel extremely weak. And when I'm up and about and doing things, I can only do a little bit at a time, and I have to sit down. So that's very frustrating for me, but I still feel very blessed, because this COVID could have been a lot worse. All right, so what we're going to do before we go any further, let's go ahead and see what we're going to stamp on the front of this. I'm going to use my Stamparatus, because I think I'm going to need, I think this one would be cute in a circle. So let's try him. I'm going to put him right there in the middle, and I am going to go ahead and use the Stamparatus, because anytime you're stamping a solid dark image like this, you're going to need the Stamparatus or some type of positioning tool to help you get the image, the depth of color that you're wanting. So we're going to bring this in, and I'm going to pick my magnet up. I'm going to put that right about there. Keep those magnets apart from one another, because they're very attracted to one another. And they will cling together, and as y'all know, this is my second set of magnets, because I broke my first ones. And I mean, they clinked together and they just went to pieces. So was not my best day, but anyway. Alright, so I'm going to use a different black ink. You can use Stays On, you can use your Memento. I'm going to use my Versafine. Now this is not a Stampin' Up product, but I love the depth that this gives me in a solid image. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up really good. And bring it over. I'm going to bring my little tool out to help me. Let's move that up just a hair so I'll make sure I'm in frame. I hope that I'm working this better where I'm staying in frame for y'all. I am trying hard. So I know it's very frustrating when it's out. Now this is going to need to be inked again, but that's a pretty good impression for my very first stamping. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up one more time. Again, I'm going to get my impressionable and just give a lot of pressure on that. Nice circular motions. And it got a little bit right there. That's okay. I'm going to use one of my favorite little erasers, and that's the Mono Sand Eraser. And I'm going to do it right in the Stamparatus. And I'm going to try my best to get that little shadow of ink off. What happened, it got a little ink on the edge of that stamp, and it transferred onto my paper. A lot of times this will take it off with no problem. So So let's see how that did. Pretty good. I think when we cut this, it will not be noticeable. All right, I like it. All right, what I want to do now is I want to cut a circle. So I'm going to grab my layering circle, and this is my layering circle dies, and I want to grab a plain circle that will cut my kitty and go a little bit smaller than that. So let's try okay, that one right there will work perfect. So I am going to go ahead and tape this down. Well, I think that sticky note's probably seen its better days. Oh, that little flag, so let's grab this one. Yeah, that one's much better. And I'll grab one from over here. Alright, so that one's ready to die cut. Now I also want a scalloped edge to go around it in red. So I am going to go up and grab, I think, this one. Yep, I think we're going to do this one. We're going to need a different piece of red because that's not quite big enough. Okay, and we'll just cut that out. So those are going to be my two focal points for the front, and we're going to do something on the front of this to make it look more like designer series paper. So let's grab our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab my big one. And I know you won't be able to see everything I'm doing here because, well, let's see if I can zoom you out a little bit. That might work. That works a little bit. So I'm going to grab my cut plates. So I have my number 1 plate, my number 2 adapter plate, a very cut up and very used number 3 cut plate, and a number 3 cover plate. So that's my sandwich. Always the same with this particular machine. So you never have to question, what sandwich do I need to use? It always works no matter what you're cutting. And I love that about this machine. I'm going to go ahead and put one on there, and I'm going to lay this up to the top because I want to cut both of these in one pass. Anytime you can do 2 cuts with one turn, that is a plus, and it's a time saver. So let's go ahead and crank that through. And this machine cuts so easy. We'll bring it down so it has room to go out. And let's go ahead and fold this up. And I love the fact that this folds up and it can easily be stored down by your desk, on a shelf behind you, or whatever. So let's go ahead and take this off. And then we're going to very gently pull that up. And that. And there is our cute little kitty. Is that not adorable? And he's going to be even more cute, layered and nestled inside that scalloped circle. Isn't that adorable? All right, let's bring these 3 little pieces back out. What I want to do with this, I think, is I want to stamp some black. And I think for it, I am going to let's see. How about the words, I love you? I think that would be so cute, just in black all over. You know, willy-nilly. We're going to turn them this way and that way. But this just goes to show you can decorate even if you only have a few items. So I'm going to grab another stamp block. And I'm going to lift this up. And I think for this I might even do it in, I don't know, I think I'm going to do it all in black. So I'm using the Memento. We're going to need our piece of scrap paper again. Put that under there. And zoom y'all back in just a hair. And I'm going to stamp here, 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 here. So I'm just going all around, just kind of willy-nilly all over this piece of paper. I just want it to say I love you all over the place. So and I think that's real good. I like that. And then when we put this over top of it, that is going to be adorable, I think. And like I said, I'm bringing y'all on because I had no clue where I was going with this when I started. I knew my layout, and that was it. So let's lay that piece over, and let's go ahead and start building our layers for that front flap. All right, the first thing I want to do is I want to take my white piece that I just stamped, and I want to adhere it to this red. And again, I'm going to use my liquid glue so that we stay, it gives me that little bit of wiggle room. We have very, very, like 1/16 of a border all the way around this, so it's not a lot to work with. So I'm going to lay that down about like this. Give it a good press. Then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put glue on the back of this. And then we're going to put, you know, almost need something white underneath that so I can see my layers. Sometimes when you're trying to layer up on black, that can be a little tedious, so I need a little bit of white there so I can see what I'm doing. And that looks good. Okay, I got a little smudge there in the middle, but you know what? That's not going to matter because this is going to cover it. So I'm going to pop up my kitty on some dimensionals. I've had so many of you to come to me and say that you love, love, love the Love Cats. So I'm hoping that you are going to enjoy this card just as much. And once you learn to do this particular fold, you'll find yourself using this card for so many different occasions, because you really can make it anything you want it to be. And that's the beauty of card making, is you can always make it yours. It's not quite where I want it. Okay, now we can go ahead and center this. Now this is going to matter because you want to make sure that that cat's head is down. And before I go any further, I'm going to grab my real red, my dark real red Stampin' Blend, and I am going to color this little heart. A beautiful red, just to kind of stay in the color scheme of everything. I think that is so cute. And if you've ever had cats, which I have, I love cats. I love animals, period. So they are such wonderful little creatures. The way they play and the silly little antics that they do, They are adorable. So when I saw the Love Cats, I had to get it because it was just too stinking cute not to. So I got glue in the middle of that, and I'm just going to put that down right like that. Give it a press. Now I do want to do one thing. I'm going to make a white border to go across the top here. It's going to be 2.5 by 4 1/8. So I'm going to do my 4 1/8 first. No, let's do 2.5. 2.5. By 4 1/8. And now this piece can mat here, but I want to do something a little decorative to it. I don't want it to be just plain. See, that's going to go on there like that. You can see it's already starting to come together to be a really cute card. But I thought, why not use our, what did I do with them? Oh, they're hanging out underneath my white cardstock. Our basic border dies. These are beautiful. There's different designs here that you can choose. I love these, the zigzag. There's also, there's another set too that has a scallop that is gorgeous. But I think for this one, I'm going to use this zigzag. I think it will be so cute, and it will look, how about the smaller zigzag? Let's do the small one. You have 2 different zigzags on this one. So I'm going to take this and just tape it to the bottom of this piece of cardstock. And what I want to do is I want to line up those tips on the edge of that cardstock, and I want to make sure that I'm ending on a peak on each side. So once I get that in position, I am going to tape it and tape it and tape it. Now we can go ahead and run this through our die cut machine. Now this card does involve several steps, so it's not a card that you're going to sit down and mass produce or anything like that. This is going to be one of those cards you're going to make for someone that's extremely special to you. So, and it, like I said, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous fold. You notice how I automatically flip that top plate, and then I put it back in my spot, so it's already in position the next time I use it. I don't even have to think about it. And that keeps my plates from warping. So there's that cute little zigzag, and look how cute that's going to look and how it dresses up this piece. So let's go ahead and glue that down. I don't think I want to stamp anything on here. I think I'm just going to leave it white. But I am going to use some liquid glue. Well, my glue is not wanting to cooperate. Let's see if we can help it along a little bit. Sometimes just an air bubble in it will keep it from flowing like it should. So yeah, there we go. Alright, so now I'm going to bring this piece back over, and I am going to glue this down directly to the top. Just like that. And now this piece is ready to go on. And what I want to do is I want to glue it, center it, and glue it right up to the top of that piece, so it all looks like it's one big piece. But remember, you can only go so far. So once you get it lined where you want it. I like to come down and take a pencil and just give myself a little line right there. And now I know not to go past that line. So that way I can make sure I get plenty of glue on the top. So what I do is I usually just make myself a line right above that pencil line, and then I run my glue all over the back and the sides. And now we can come up and line that up. And what you want to do is try to make sure you've got the same amount on both sides. And press that down. And usually right here you can tell whether you got it straight or not, and that looks really good. Alright, so now we're ready to work on our inside card. So this is the first portion. The first portion, of course, is your Toby, no, is your card base, and then your flap. And now the third section is going to be this inside card that we're going to make. So to make the inside card, we're going to need the other piece of black that we cut off. So while we're working that, let me go ahead and put my glue up. Alright, so this piece needs to be 3 1/4 by 10. So we need to cut this 3 1/4. So I'm going to line that up right there at 3 1/4. If you notice, I always try my best to cut up. That's because that keeps me nice and straight. Sometimes when you cut down, you can drag your cardstock and it can go a little wonky on you, and that can cause you to get an off cut. So line it up in there nice and straight, and against that top lip, you got this nice little lip up here that holds your paper. So line it up, hold it, put your bar down, and then slice. So now we're going to open up our arm, and we're going to measure this out to 10. And we're going to cut that off. Then we're going to bring our blades down. You can go ahead and close your arm, and we're going to score this in half at 5. So line it up right at 5. Take that score blade and give it a good score and fold. Now we're going to need the white piece. We're going to need 2 pieces of white. So for the white we need 3 1/8 by 4 7/8. And I know that sounds daunting, but it really isn't. So I'm going to cut this at 4 7/8. So that's going to be almost 5. It's going to be the second tick line from the 5. The last one would be 15/16. The one over will be 7/8. So put that to 4 7/8, making sure my paper is nice and straight and up against there. And we're going to slice. And then we're going to cut 3 1/8. And we're going to need 2 of these. Alright, so there is our 2 pieces. Now we're going to emboss one of these pieces. And I'm going to use the same one that I used. On this one I used my splatters. You see how pretty that splatter is back behind there? I don't know if you can see that. Isn't that pretty? For this one, I used the hive. I thought the hive was appropriate with our little queen bee on the front. So for this one, I think I'm going to use the splatter again. This is one of the ones that fits in our little machine. Although I'm just going to use my big one since I have it right here beside me. I'm going to open this up, And I'm going to lay this in and line it up with that line at the bottom. Sometimes you need to hold it up so you can see the line. Line it up to that line and then close it up. Always try to feed your embossing folders in with the closed flap going through first, if possible. I know that there are times that you can't, but if it is at all possible, try to do it that way. It ensures that nothing slips or moves and, you know, what have you. Now this is a 3D embossing folder, so I am going to grab my base plate, which is my number 1, my embossing folder with the paper, the cardstock in it, and then I'm going to use that number 4 specialty plate, and that's this one. That's the sandwich for any of your 3D embossing folders. Look how gorgeous that is. Are you seeing how pretty that is? Love it. Love it, love it. Again, I do apologize for my coughing, but it is just, it's one of those things, so bear with me. Hopefully I am on the mend. Alright, I'm going to glue this onto the front, and then I'm going to decide how I want to do my kitty. I know which one I want, so I'll tell you what, let's do this piece of paper. Bring out our Stamparatus one more time. So I'm going to put that in like that. Let me bring that over closer so you can see. And here. Let's get our kitties out and see. I love this one. Actually, I like the other one too. How about I love hanging out with you? I can't decide. I think I like this one. Okay. We might end up using the other one too. Who knows? I might just go a little bit kitty cat crazy. Alright, I got him positioned where I want him, so I'm going to pick him up. I'm going to bring the stamp set and put it underneath my door. This gives you a nice level surface for inking up your image. So that's how I do that. Again, I'm going to go in with the VersaFine, and again, this is not a Stampin' Up product, but I do love my VersaFine ink. It's been hard to find lately. I don't know if it's some type of distributor issue or what. And they're the same people that puts out the Versamark. Got a little bit of ink right there, so I'm trying to clean that up to keep from having another little incident over here with my shadow. So we'll see. I'll probably have to ink this again. I have not used this particular stamp, so it may need to be done more than once, but that looks pretty good. Maybe not. Maybe twice will do it. Of course, y'all know today is Monday, and it is my trash day, so Toby's always a little high-strung on trash day because of the trash trucks. And I think I tell y'all that every time I'm recording on a Monday. That is perfect. Love that. Oh, he's so cute. Alright, I'm going to lay him over here. Alright, well, like I said, this is not one of those fast videos where you can throw this card together in just a minute. This one will take a little bit of time and effort, but I think it's so worth it. And I think for this sentiment, I'm going to put I love hanging out with you. I wonder if we can get that on there. Might have to do that in a little cloud or something, but I know that's what I want. So what I want to do here is decide exactly how much of my kitty. I do want to go back in with that red marker. Did I put it back up? I did. We're going to go in and color that little heart. Now remember, this I used the VersaFine ink, so it doesn't take well to the alcohol markers. So I was very careful not try not to hit my line. So I need to figure out from here how much of that line what I'm doing is I'm laying this down across my piece that this is going to attach to, and I want to figure out where I want my cat to land, and I think right about there. So I'm going to make myself a pencil mark there and there. Now what's that going to be for? That's going to be my cut line. So I'm going to bring my trimmer back out, and I'm going to line that mark right up into my track, and I'm going to cut that off. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this side. Line it up right into the track and cut that off. So the other thing that we can do here is we can actually put a little red border around this just to give it some emphasis on here, and it doesn't look like it's flat. So I'm going to take this piece and measure it, and it looks like it's about 3 1/8. Let's try this at 3 1/4. Pretty good for guessing, huh? And then all I need to do is take about 1/8 of an inch off the bottom, or maybe 1/4. And no measurements on that. I am eyeballing it totally. So there will not be exact measurements for this piece. Your piece may be different depending on what you do. But as long as you get a layer behind your square or your rectangle, that's all that matters. And that looks gorgeous. So let's see. Let's put this back over here. And let's grab some glue, and let's go ahead and glue this to the red. I think I'm going to dedicate this card, if I may, to Carmina. Carmina loved a little cat card so much that when she saw me do one on my live, I showed one. I didn't do it, but I showed it. And she called me and ordered the love cats because she fell in love with them. So Carmina, I am dedicating this card to you, honey. And I hope you're feeling better. So let's go ahead and glue. Let's attach this white piece to our black. Oh, might help if I take the pen out. What do you think? Usually works better that way. So we're just going to go ahead and put glue, and I'm being free with my glue on the back of this because you've got all these little nooks and crannies. Yeah, it's almost like a English muffin with the nooks and crannies. That sounds really good about now. My appetite still has not come back like it should. Maybe if I'm fortunate it won't come back because I have lost probably about 11 pounds in a week. I know that's rapid weight loss, but just have not been able to eat for whatever reason. I'll eat just a tiny bit, and that's about all I can do. So all right, so we have that on there, and now I think I want to pop this up just a hair, and I'm trying to think, do I want to go up to the top? I think I do. I think I'm going to go up high with this, and I'll tell you why. I want this when it goes in here. If that's going to sit in there like this, yeah, maybe not. Maybe, oh, that's pretty like that. We can even come down a little bit further. What I'm doing is I want to make sure wherever I put that this flap is going to cover the kitty or any of the writing. This gives me room up here to be able to put "I love hanging out with you." So let's I'm going to use my pencil again, and I'm going to put just a tiny little mark right there, so I know that's where I need to glue that. And I'm going to put glue on the back of this. Never be afraid to use your pencil to mark your places, because sometimes that's the only way we can get placement exactly where we want it. All right, now I think for this, I love my double hearts, and I'm wondering if these will fit. If they will, this will be gorgeous on here. So I'm going to grab a piece of white, red. We're going to try it. You know, you don't know if you don't try. So I'm going to put a piece of red in here, and I'm doing it at an angle so that I'm not wasting any more of my paper than I need to. And then I'm going to take a piece of white. I think that's the other piece that goes in there, so let's not take that. And I'm going to use the other heart, the plain. With this set of punches you get, yeah, that's going to work. You get 2 punches. You get a scallop heart and a regular heart. So I know I've used a lot of elements, but I wanted this card to be extra special. And I think I'm going to stamp this with red. I think it'll give it just a little something extra in the inside. Clean my glue off of my bottle, my tip, and my pen. And my red ink. Got that loaded up. And let's go ahead and ink it. That gorgeous. Love it. So now we can take this and adhere it to this, and this can go right here. How gorgeous is that? Do y'all love that? Look at that. Love it, love it. All right, I'm going to use glue again. And I'm going to put that into the tip first, and then get my other edges lined up like so. And I think I want to pop this up on dimensionals, so I'm going to grab my dimensionals, and we're only going to need about 3. So I'm going to put one here and one here. Actually, you know what? We only need those 2, because I'm going to put some glue on the tip of that. Since we've already got that, it's already has a little height to it. I don't think we need any more. So let's set that down just like that. Now that part is done. So now all we have left is to take our other piece and glue that in, but we want to do a little something on the inside. And let's see if So Much Love will fit. And I think it will. And we're going to do this in red as well. So I am going to grab a larger stamp block. And this is photopolymer, so I am going to get my Stampin' Pierce mat out. And I'm going to take the ink to the stamp this time. The reason when I have a large image like this, I seem to have better control to get the ink where I want it. So I'm going up to the top so I have room to sign. And I'm just going to give that some pressure. Let that ink transfer just for a moment. And lift. So pretty. So let's bring this back over. Get that out of our way. And we're going to open this up and put glue on the back of this. And we're going to bring this in and try to line up our borders, our edges nice and even. Close that up. Now we're ready to put this inside of our card. So when you close that up, you want it to look like that. Is that not beautiful? So what I like to do is I like to get this positioned where I want it, which is right up underneath there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take glue on the back of this card. And then we're going to bring that right up to the top, making sure you're getting the same amount on both sides. And then open that up, give it a good press, and then close that down, and there is your card. Now if you wanted to, you could come back here and do some little dots, or not dots, but some splatters would be cute. You know, it just worked with the Queen Bee. And she has some little splatters there. So I think I'm going to accent. This is how you can, see that's very subtle, but I think it will add just a little bit of depth on the side of this card that it's needing. And I think I'm going to do it in red. I think just that little touch of red down the side of that will make a big pop in the way this card looks. So let's try it. That looked a little naked to me. I don't know if it did to you, but it definitely did to me. And I got something on my ink pad. It's very subtle, but just enough to say that something's going on there. Love it. That really did bring it together. It just looked like it needed something, that white, because on the other ones I used Designer Series paper, and I should have thought of that before. But anyway, here are our 3 lovely, absolutely lovely. And the more you fold these, the more that they will lay down. So as you can see, I have worked this one a little bit more than I have these 2. This was the first one I made, and then the second, and now this one. But anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed the making of these, this particular fold, and it's just a very fancy fold. 3 beautiful cards. Let me know what you think, if you loved it as much as I did. Let's see if we can straighten the camera out just a hair. There we go. And God bless and keep you. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope that you have a very, very blessed Valentine's Day. God keep you. I love you guys so very much, and I've missed being here with you. So I'm back, and I've got a lot of really cute things coming up, so stay tuned. And as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is worthy. Also, as a reminder, if you like what you saw, please give me a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. And that way you can ring the bell and get notified every time I put up a new video. God bless and keep you until we craft again. I'll see you then. Love you. Bye-bye.